YouTube. This is going to be another before and after. So the movie I'm going to go see is Victor Frankenstein, which is oddly enough come out about the time I had to read the book for my school. How convenient. Um, so the cool thing that in this movie that I've seen is the casting. Okay, so we got Charles Xavier, we got Moriarty, and that's about all the names that I know. I do know that there are some other actors in here from other really popular movies, but those are just the two that I recognize. So I think that's really cool. We got pretty cool cast going on here. Although it does raise the question, why doesn't Charles just use his mind powers to bring the monster back to life? I don't know. So it looks pretty cool. It doesn't look like there's that many practical effects though, which is kind of sad. But it does look kind of cool. They do actually have the monster's actual color down though, which is something that's kind of strange to point out. But they do actually have the monster's original color, which is more of a yellowish color. They're at least closer to that than the green. Um, Although they did take away the black hair and, well, I can't tell if his eyes are yellow and lifeless, and I can't really tell if his teeth are that white or anything. Um, so I do like those similarities from the book, and there's not that much else to talk about. They do make a lot of nice references to the original movie and everything, like with the "It's Alive" thing, and sort of mocking at that. Um, they do seem to have a different way of looking at the characters here, though. Charles, for example, seems more like an eccentric, which I guess I'm okay with. And Igor in this is not hunchback for one. Probably good because they didn't even have an Igor in the original story. Um, and they do have some fun little details that they put into some of the characters that do make them sort of stand out and sort of make you say, hey, okay, what's going on with this? Okay, so this is kind of a cool adaptation. So, yeah, it looks pretty cool. I can't really get anything from the trailers though that needs to be brought up, except for maybe the fact that they are experimenting a bit more with the life factor, like how they're bringing him back to life. Like there is a previous experiment, which is pretty cool. So the actual time they do succeed is their second time doing it. So that looks pretty cool. So yeah, that's about it. I'll see you in the after part later, I guess. Okay, so I've now seen the movie Victor Frankenstein, and it's interesting. For one, we have Charles Xavier in this playing Victor Frankenstein. He does great with this. He gets really into the performance. He's going so over the top, which in other movies would feel very out of place, but for some odd reason here, he just, he's great in it. Like, okay, so pretty much, he feels right. It feels like it's supposed to be there. It feels like he is playing this role how it was supposed to be. Over the top, very energized, and just having a blast with every scene that he's in. I mean, he's going insane throughout this thing. He just loves it. You can really tell that he loves the freaking source material and really wanted to make this role stand out. Although, unfortunately, he's not the main character. Yep, for a movie called Victor Frankenstein is only in half of it. And the other half is taken up mainly by Igor. Because, yeah, Igor's the guy who we always think about when we're thinking about Frankenstein. We don't think about Frankenstein for him going insane about, or him losing his mind and pushing all his friends away and hiding away in isolation for 2 whole years because he was so obsessed and determined on making this monster and creation come to life, getting an interesting psychological perspective on this. No, what we care about is his stupid lab assistant. That's what everyone cared about. So, okay, so the movie starts off with a circus, as most Victor Frankenstein stories do. So the circus is home to Igor, who actually starts off unnamed. Okay. And he is just a circus clown, but who also studies in trying to be a physician. But they won't really let him leave the circus, but when Victor comes along, he just breaks him out. And is now wanted for murder. Again, as most Victor Frankenstein stories are. So, now they're pretty much outlaws, but they're covering up pretty well by taking off the makeup from Igor, from when he was a circus clown, and getting rid of the whole hunchback thing. Yeah, that's how you won't be wanted. So, now, Frankenstein is pretty much found out about Igor, and now he found out, okay, this guy can really help me out in bringing life to death. So he gets Igor onto the project, not even asking him if he wants to be on the project, that's mean. And now they're both working together to try and create life. Because that's such an easy task. So, yeah, only 2 people, but they can do it. And actually they do. And it does go into more of the experimental phase. Actually, the whole entire movie is pretty much the experiment. It's not really the after, but it's more of the experimental and hypothesis phase, which is actually something that I'm actually kind of glad that they put in. Because in most adaptations of the movies, it's not really there. It's just kind of what happened after with the monster. And so is the book even. The book kind of even skips over the whole entire how was he dealing with this? How did this obsession work? How did this go into his mind? Why did he want to do this so bad? And this movie does actually draw a lot of inspiration from the book, which is actually something kind of interesting. Because here they actually have the monster looking more like the monster, which is actually really refreshing. And it's actually kind of cool monster, but unfortunately he's only there for like 10 minutes. Yeah, 10 minutes of our monster. Awesome! So he's not really there for most of it, but it's more the experimental phase that gets it more interesting. So we also have James Moriarty in this from Sherlock, which explains my hat over here from Sherlock. And he's actually really into this performance too. That's one of the things I tended to notice is that the 2 actors that I recognize from this movie, they go really into their performances, and they're just a blast. Really, both of these guys do great. If anything, they're the main reason to see this movie. But Igor, I found, was a pretty bland character. I didn't really care for what was going on with him, and most of the time I was just thinking, yeah, you're in love, okay. Can I see the insanity that's going on behind the scenes? Really, there's one whole entire scene where they're, like, at this ball, where he's dancing with some girl, and then on the side, Victor is creating life, and there is a mob coming for him. Yeah, because what we want to see is the ballroom, as opposed to Victor's working on life, and there's a mob coming after him. These guys know what we want to see. So, that got kind of annoying, but it's not awful for that. So, there is a lot of things I do enjoy in it, like, the cinematography can be cool at times, and it does sort of seem to take some of its inspiration from Sherlock, which is kind of out of place at times, but it is still pretty cool. Um, so yeah, I thought it was a pretty cool movie, but it's definitely not what I thought it would be. It sort of just feels like it's the monster from the movie, but it hasn't been given that spark of life yet. It was so close, but it just needed that spark. That's pretty much that's pretty much what I gotta say. I think that if they focused more on Frankenstein in this movie than Frankenstein's lab assistant, then it would probably make for a stronger movie. But hey, it does have a lot of references to the book, like with Victor ending up on a mountain at the end. That is from the book, although that happened like halfway through the book. But I'm not but I don't care. Um, then they also have um, then they also have the reference with the Modern Prometheus thing, which is really cool. Because that's what people always used to call the original book, and now it's cool that the movie actually did use that. Um, and they do actually reference Henry from the books, even though Henry was more like Igor in the books, but eh. I mean, Victor did have a younger brother who died in the book, so I guess that's what they sort of meant to accomplish with him. So yeah, it's a pretty good movie, and it's definitely worth watching if you want to see some over-the-top performances, because they do great here, and they are definitely the most fun part of the movie. But if you're looking for a more psychological version of it, which it does show a lot, and that is actually really cool, because that's kind of what I want to see more with Frankenstein, then you could probably get that somewhere else, like maybe in the book or something, but this is still a pretty good adaptation. Not the best, but they tried, and it at least does have some things that are worth watching. So, yeah, bye.